Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Regional Municipality of Niagara Police Service Board stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting a wide stewardship of the lands in which we live. I'll begin the roll call this morning with Member Gibson.
Present.
Member Yip.
Present.
Vice Chair Capasavanu.
Present.
Member Lawson.
Present.
Member Steele.
Here.
And Member McKendrick does send her regrets this morning. Go to number 3 for declarations of conflict of pecuniary interest. Do any members have any declarations of conflict or pecuniary interest? And seeing none, go to the adoption of the minutes. Moved by Member Gibson, second by Member Yip, that the minutes of public board meeting held Thursday, September 25th, 2025 be adopted as circulated. Is there any discussion? Member Yip? Counselor, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, through you, Chair. I have some questions about minute item 8.4, being the safer public spaces approach to community safety and open air illicit drug use. So through you, Chair, because there have been at least 4 newspaper articles about this item, as well as some broadcast coverage and interviews, and that it was brought up during a discussion about the Niagara Region's community substance use strategy at Public Health and Social Services, I think it's important to revisit it for a minute with some additional questions that didn't get asked last time. So through you, Chair, the report we received at last month's Police Service Board meeting indicated that additional training for members in relation to drug offenses will be provided. How are members being trained, by whom, and what's included in the training, please?
Chief?
Thank you for your question, and through you, Chair. And as Member Yip referenced in her, to I guess add context to the questions that we're about to follow, I think I would like to let the board know that Member Yip and I have had a discussion subsequent to one of the media articles where I reached out proactively to confirm the context that wasn't in the media article, where one of our members, Staff Sergeant Bootsma, was referenced. And I think, first of all, I want to say that Member Yip and I agree that there's a problem. We also agree that the current situation is not working and is not sustainable, but we're not completely in alignment on the path forward. I say that with the greatest of respect, because I think sometimes 2 people can both be right, and I think in this case, I think Member Yip is correct in her thinking, but I also feel our strategy is correct. So with respect to the question, I believe the question was what training is being offered to our members? Okay, thank you, just to remind myself. So we have put out several bulletins with respect to the current kind of status and posture. The first was just advising our members of our position. We also shared information with respect to a new provincial safer, Bill 6. I actually have that in my thing. A new provincial policy that will probably come to me as I'm talking. A second reference to the fact that what we are asking them to do has always been in place under the Controlled Drugs and Substance Act. Items like cocaine, heroin, fentanyl are contained within Schedule 1, and it has always been contrary to the act to use them in public. So we were reminding them of their authorities to exercise when appropriate. And the third thing that we spoke about was we provided a video for our membership to ensure that they were safe, that provided the manner to safely handle some of these illicit drugs, you know, from their own safety, for their own personal safety. So those bulletins were all disseminated across the service by our training unit to all members. And the leaders in terms of operationalizing that have been our members of our core unit.
Okay, thank you. Through you, Chair. The report also indicates that community partners will be informed of the change in posture, and a dashboard to track arrests, overdoses, and trends will be created. Upon NRPS announcing this renewed posture, there was an immediate ripple effect among users. Can we also include in that dashboard information on referrals made and have a report back to the board in 6 months and also 1 year in terms of what that data looks like?
Through you, Chair, yes, I think that's completely reasonable.
Thank you.
Excuse, just account, or member Yip, would you like to put it into a motion for the board?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'll finish asking the questions if that's okay, and then at the end of the questions, we'll have a, is that, okay.
Yep.
But then, let's not forget, so I'm gonna make a note so that we don't forget that I just said that. Thank you. Through you, Chair, what is meant by balancing enforcement with education will build public confidence? Are substance users being educated about something related to their substance use, and are police the best ones to be doing that?
Through you, Chair, I think there were 3 questions in that question. The first question,
What is meant by balancing enforcement with education will build public confidence?
okay, thank you. I think that over the last decade, and I thought I referenced this last time, that law enforcement has moved away from enforcement and have played a role in trying to educate. And I think in many respects, we've enabled the current situation where I believe in the last 10 years, there's 53,000 people that have overdosed. With fentanyl entering the market, the results have been devastating. And I believe that enforcement will add balance. It is referenced as one of the 4 pillars by Health Canada. And notwithstanding the benefits of harm reduction and related to that, but it is one of the pillars. And I believe that there is an opportunity to lawfully exercise our authorities. And I believe the second part of that question is the general public are also a part of this discussion, that harm reduction is principally focused on the persons that are suffering from an addiction, but it does not necessarily contemplate the trauma on the broader community.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, one item that's consistently coming up from staff and volunteers of the local agencies that are impacted by this is that there's quite a bit of variance in how it's currently being enforced amongst officers. And I suppose that might be that the training that's been sent out is still fairly new. But community members are sharing that some officers are being respectful and having discussions, but staff and volunteers at these agencies are also hearing of people's harm reduction supplies being smashed, searched, and items thrown all over the place. In many instances, people are told to go use at your house or your friend's house. Of course, the response to that is that the individual is homeless and so are their friends. So how is the service monitoring the discrepancy in this enforcement?
Chief?
Okay, thank you. Through you, Chair. While our our hope and our expectation is that our members are treating people with respect and are professional in their interactions with persons. I have not been advised of any of the latter, whereby you're referencing what I would call exhibits or items being smashed or discarded. That has not been brought to my attention, and that certainly would not be in keeping with how we would like to see these things, these situations managed. It is not our intent to criminalize these people or to take away their dignity at all.
Thank you. Just a bit of a follow-up to that through you, Chair. So when individuals are reporting that latter scenario is happening, what should they be doing to ensure that you're advised, right, so that it can be addressed? Because it would be difficult, I think, to report to the police about police behaving in a way that maybe they shouldn't. So what would be the best path?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for your question, Chair, through you, sorry. The mechanism for that would be to reach out to LECA, the independent
Okay.
oversight body that looks into matters related to inappropriate police conduct.
Okay. Thank you. Just a couple of more questions, Chair, through you, Chair. And this might be a little bit too much speculation at this point, so I understand if the answer is not particularly complete. How does the new approach or this renewed approach relate to the newly funded initiatives like the Heart Hub?
Thank you for your question again, through you, Chair. So the Heart Hub, as Member Yip referenced, is a new initiative. Gateway, it's in its infancy. My sense is that the Heart Hub would be one of the agencies that our officers would have available as an option to refer people to, whereby hopefully they would get guidance, counseling, support that they need to exit the lifestyle, if possible.
Thank you. And one probably last question. Through you, Chair, I guess, what does, with this renewed posture, what does success look like?
Again, thank you, through you, Chair. In a perfect world, every addict would be provided the resources they need to off-ramp, get the support they need to make the appropriate changes for them. I think for the broader community, you would see enhanced ability to use parks, public spaces, to feel safe going into all parts of the community, and enhanced connectivity to the community in general terms.
Thank you. So the
Sorry, one last thing that's probably important is we would also see a reduction in crime in some communities that we know is associated with or to people that are using illicit drugs.
Thank you. So through you, Chair, and thank you, Chief, for your answers to those questions and for the conversations that we've had about this in between meetings as well. I still have grave concerns about this renewed posture, as there are reams of evidence that indicate that this is not a correct approach, and what all the terrible outcomes will be for people subjected to this approach. It will, again, disproportionately impact and re-traumatize Indigenous, racially marginalized, queer, and unhoused people who use substances. I've said it before, but we can't arrest our way out of the drug toxicity crisis. It's the result, really, and this is the challenge, is that we end up having to deal with these issues at this at this community level, but it's the result of significant societal failures much further upstream. The fact is that provincial and federal governments need to make better investments in social programs and crime prevention to help people avoid finding themselves unhoused or involved with the criminal justice system in any way in the first place. Through your chair, we'll just go back to the suggestion for the motion. So I guess the motion would be that NRPS report back to the board with the arrests, overdoses, and referrals made with respect to this renewed posture in 6 months and 1 year.
Thank you, Member Yip. Do I have a seconder for that? Vice Chair Capsvanu? Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question on that motion. All those in favor? That carries. Right, thank you for that, Member. Yep. I got to get used to calling her member because I keep calling her counselor. All right, we'll move on to the next minutes. 4.2, moved by Vice Chair Capsvanu, seconded by Member Lawson, that the minutes of the Public Finance Committee meeting held Thursday, October 16, 2025, be adopted as circulated. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Go to number 5, reports from the board chair. On September 28th, members of the board and service attended the Canadian Police Peace Officers Memorial Service at Parliament Hill in Ottawa. This important annual memorial unites police and the families and friends of the officers for the opportunity to pay tribute of our Canadian police officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty. On September 30th, Vice Chair Capsvanu and members McKendrick and Gibson joined the service at police headquarters for a flag-raising ceremony in recognition of the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation and the children, families, and communities that were impacted by residential schools. Thank you. On October 9th and 10th, board and service members attended a Building Bridges Evidence-Based Policing Conference at Blue Mountain Conference Center. The event brought together 250 attendees to explore matters relating to a variety of topics that are relevant to the policing community. Vice Chair Capsvanu, members McKendrick and Lawson, Director Reed and I attended the event and joined Deputy Chief, Laboratory, and service staff members. On October 18th, Member Lawson joined members of the service at Niagara Penn Center for the 19th annual Walk in the Mile in Her Shoes event. This annual fundraising program is held to raise money to support the various programs offered through Jillian's Place that are aimed at ending gender-based domestic violence and providing safe refuge to women and children in need. Walk a Mile in Her Shoes encourages participants to walk a mile in high-heel shoes to advocate for women and other survivors in domestic violence. Thank you for attending that event. Member Lawson? The Canadian Association of Police Governance hosting monthly webinars as part of their educational strategy to keep police boards and police executives across Canada apprised of issues currently affecting the policing community. A webinar was held on October 21st to discuss ways to optimize corporate governance and streamline operations. The next webinar is held on November 6th at 12 p.m. to discuss ways to improve the public's understanding and policing today. Recorded copies of the webinars are sent to the board members for their viewing. On October 30th, board members will be joining Chief 40 and service members at a swearing-in ceremony for 15 new recruit members of the Niagara Regional Police Service and 2 currently serving police officers. The ceremony is being held at police headquarters in the community room at 5 p.m. Vice Chair Capsvanu, Member Lawson, McKendrick, and Steele, Director Reed and I will be attending the ceremony. On November 16th, the service will be holding a Tree of Hope lighting ceremony at police headquarters from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. The Tree of Hope is a Canada-wide police-led project that involves a cultural ceremony and illuminating of trees with the red lights and a representation of missing of murdered Indigenous persons with Two-Spirit individuals. I will be attending the ceremony on behalf of the board. On November 17th, Chief Forty and the police staff will be attending the Grimsby's Town Council meeting to provide a presentation on police services specifically to Grimsby community. Members of the Grimsby Town Council will have the opportunity to ask questions and address the concerns that are relevant to the Niagara Regional Police Service. I'll be attending again at that meeting with the police board, and representing the police board. On November 19th, and the Ontario Association of Police Service Boards is holding its Zone 4 quarterly meeting from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. by Zoom only. Zone 4 consists of a total of 14 police service boards, including municipal and OPP contract boards, or First Nations police governance bodies that are located within the regions or counties of Brant, Holloman, Halton, Hamilton, Niagara, Norfolk, and Oxford. These quarterly engagements allow boards within a certain geographic area to meet for the purpose of discussing matters related to police governance. Further details will be provided when available. Members are asked to confirm their attendance with the board staff. On November 25th and 26th, the Ontario Association of Police Services Boards hosts their 2025 Annual Labor Conference at the Hilton Toronto Airport Hotel in Mississauga. Attendees will have the opportunity to participate in municipal board governance, training sessions, and to learn more about police labor relations landscape across Ontario. Vice Chair Capus-Vanu, Member Gibson, Director Reed, Board Solicitor McKegg, and I will be attending the conference. I'd like to acknowledge that this is Member Lawson's final regular monthly meeting as her provincial appointment concludes on November 20th. Jen has served the board for 5 years with dedication and unwavering commitment to the good governance and community well-being. On behalf of the board, thank you, Jen, for your tenure and contributions. We truly appreciate the professionalism and passion you have brought to this role. We will be inviting you back to a future meeting so that we can formally recognize your service and hopefully get you your badge that you deserve. In the meantime, we wish you continued success and hope you have extra time in the future for golf, Tai Chi, and pickleball. So thank you, Jen, for all your hard work. So there are no committee meetings scheduled for November. The next regular monthly board meeting is scheduled for Thursday, November 27, 2025, at 9:30 a.m. here in the community room at the police headquarters. I'll now go to the chief to see if he has any reports.
I do, thank you, Chair. I'm sorry, just further to our earlier discussion, it is Bill 6 that I referenced, and it's called the Safer Municipalities Act. I might have called it the Safer Communities Act. That's actually the provincial legislation. If I could, Chair, I'll start my comments by referencing your final comments, and that's with respect to Member Lawson, to Jen, if I can call her that. And what I want to say, well, first of all, is thank you. There's no doubt in any member that works in this service how much you care about them and how committed you were to their wellness. So thank you on behalf of all our members for helping us to become a better organization, on helping support our most important commodity, and that's our people. So thank you for that, sincerely. As you know, Chair, Regional Chair Jim Bradley passed away on September 26th. I also want to acknowledge on behalf of the service our sincere gratitude to Chair Jim Bradley and his outstanding 55-year contribution to our community, and to extend our condolences to his family and friends. Indeed, he has left a lasting legacy in Niagara and beyond, and will always be remembered for his unwavering dedication to public service. Many of us had the privilege of attending the visitation and/or the service, and our service had the honor of participating in an honor guard at his visitation and service. So for that, we feel humbled to be given that opportunity. On October 2nd, we hosted a media conference here in this room to share the details of Project Road King. This undertaking initially began with our service in August 2024 and transformed into a partnership with many agencies, including the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Combined Forces Special Enforcement Unit, which includes the Hamilton, Halton, and Brantford Police Services, and the Canadian Border Services Agency, and also the Criminal Intelligence Service of Ontario. This was a large-scale investigation into organized crime with a network operating in multiple jurisdictions. Networks were responsible for large-scale drug trafficking and related criminal activity, including organized auto theft. 12 search warrants were carried out, resulting in a large seizure that included the recovery of 38 stolen vehicles, over 12 kilograms of suspected cocaine, 17 long guns, 3 handguns, and over $500,000. 30 people were arrested, and 231 charges were laid. The successful completion of this lengthy investigation was supported with funding provided by the Ministry of the Solicitor General. Project Road King exemplifies the impact we have on keeping our communities safe when we work collaboratively with our partners, striking at the heart of the criminal enterprises. On October 9th and 10th, we attended the Building Bridges Evidence-Based Policing Conference along with members of your board and academia, police officers from across the country, as we continue on the best path forward in effective policing operations and decisions. I would also be remiss if I did not acknowledge the tremendous work of the service in the last week. We have been engaged in several dynamic, high-risk, dangerous situations, executing search warrants in Grimsby, assisting the Peel Police with the pursuit and apprehension of a murder suspect. And we have had first responders, investigators, emergency task unit. We've had the association engage. President Krauscher is here today. Deputy Waslovich out in the middle of the night. Just a complete professional, responsive approach to community safety that I'm very proud of. And I just, it's not in my notes, but I would be remiss if I had not taken an opportunity to speak to our members and their commitment to duty at a time when the pressures are continuing to increase. So, with respect to community engagement, on September 23rd, we attended Brock University and participated in the Brock Taking Steps Towards Reconciliation event. Our representatives included our inspectors from 1 and 2 district and our core staff sergeant. On September 26th, we attended the University of Niagara Falls Student Fair with our core unit. We met with the students, many of whom are international, and responded to their questions about the service. And we also provided information with respect to crime. On September 27th, our EDI unit participated in the Run for Niagara event hosted by one of the Muslim youth associations. The event is organized to raise funds for local hospitals. On September 28th, we were joined by yourself, the Vice Chair, Member Lawson, Director Reed, in Ottawa for the Canadian Police and Peace Officers Memorial Service. We had close to 100 members attend, including many senior leaders that are in this room today, to honor the fallen officers and their families. On September 30th, we were joined by Chris Shawanu from the Fort Erie Native Friendship Center as we raised the Every Child Matters flag for the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation here at headquarters, also attended by board members. Following the 9 o'clock flag raising, we walked along the river in Niagara Falls from the power station to Oaks Garden Theater with staff and students from the Niagara Catholic District School Board. It provided us an opportunity to reflect on the importance of honoring and remembering our Indigenous community. We then attended the Fort Erie Native Friendship Center for the Haudenosaunee and Big Drum Social with a focus on healing through song and dance. On October 1st, we launched both our citizens and youth academies in this room. with 2 great groups of 19 citizens and 25 youth, learning about how we police our community. Our first session included a day in the life of patrol with Inspector Mark DeGidio, Sergeant Jake Grant, and Constables Dillon, Jameson, Nicholas, and Blankstein. And I heard tremendous feedback from the participants with respect to the efforts of our members. And it was led by our Manager of Corporate Communications, Stephanie Sabrin. On October 1st, our EDI unit presented to new residents in Niagara Falls at the McBain Community Center. Topics covered included personal safety, interacting with police, common frauds, and crime prevention. On October 2nd, we participated in an awareness walk event for missing and murdered Indigenous women hosted by the Fort Erie Native Friendship Center and the Niagara chapter of Native Women. Sergeant Tara Ryan of our Human Trafficking Unit also attended and spoke as what I will call a keynote speaker to community members about the work being done to further investigations, assist victims, and bring those responsible for crimes before the courts. And as this board knows, Sergeant Tara Ryan is a subject matter expert in human trafficking, does tremendous work in that area. On October 3rd and 6th, members of our EDI unit attended the University of Niagara Falls. They presented to many international students on tenancy rights, safety, and the types of contact that they can expect to have with the police. On October 5th, Deputy Chief Waslovich was on hand for the puck drop at the Niagara Ice Dogs game for their first responders night. On October 6th, we welcomed attendees at the OACP Crisis and Strategic Communications Conference held at down in Niagara Falls. On October 9th, we attended the PO Police Chief's Gala to show our support to our local police partners. On October 11th, we attended the Niagara Ice Dogs game for the puck drop as they raised monies for Special Olympics to help raise money for those incredible athletes that participate in those undertakings as well. On October 21st, we welcomed attendees at the Statement of Admissibility Seminar hosted by the Canadian Association of Police Polygraphists, attended by interviewers and investigators from across Canada as they came together to share their knowledge and their expertise. And I'm also aware that our members did presentations there as part of the training undertaking, and it was very well received. On October 17th, sorry, I just jumped out of order here. We held our continuing Indigenous and Diverse Communities Tour for our post-Ontario Police College recruit class of 15 officers who visited organizations and faith-based sites in our community. On October 18th, members of our service participated in Walk a Mile in Her Shoes, the Men's March to End Violence Against Women event that was supported through a special fund donation by this board. The event is in support of Jillian's Place to sustain their life-changing programs and support services and bring awareness to gender-based violence in Niagara and in fact beyond. On the issue of member wellness, I wanted to let the board know that on September 3rd, the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police Resilience Subcommittee held a meeting here in this community room. The committee consists of members from services across the province who have been developing a multi-tiered training program focusing on resilience that includes training modules for recruits. The NRPS member support team has been on the committee since its inception in 2022, and our video unit has played an invaluable role in helping prepare films, interviews, and officer testimonials. If you recall, at the March 27th PSB meeting, the training unit delivered a presentation on the recruit journey. Board member McKendrick asked during the Q&A what kind of mental health and wellness training was being provided to recruits during their probationary period. The training modules being produced by the OACP Resilience Committees address that question specifically. I'm pleased to tell you that the modules created jointly with our video unit are set to be delivered to our pre and post OPC recruit classes moving forward. And I'll end my comments there, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. It's been a busy month, and we recognize the work that you all do in with public engagement, and that continues on. But I also want to recognize and commend the frontline officers for basically putting their life on the line every time they leave their home and coming to work and trying to make our community safer. And I think the board has recognized this week how busy it's been and the difficult calls that you are getting, and then how these officers are, working hard for us. So I just want to recognize that as well and commend them for the work that they do. Anything else, Chief?
No, thank you, Chair, and you stated it well. Thank you.
Great, thank you. We'll go number 7, presentations. There are no presentations today, so we'll go right to number 8, consent items. I'd like to move consent items 8.1 and 8.7 in block. I do have a mover and second, moved by Member Still, second by Member Gibson. Do we have any discussions on any of the items? I'm seeing none. Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that carries. Okay, we'll go new business, 9.1. Moved by Member Yip, second by Vice Chair Kappas-Vanu, that the board receive and approve the revised 2026 operating budget for the Niagara Police Service and Board, resulting in a total net expenditure budget in indirect allocations of $236,319,452, which represents a 11.23% increase over the approved 2025 operating budget. And number 2, that the consolidated budget of the service and board to Niagara Regional Council for approval. Is there any discussion? Member Yip, and then Member Lawson.
Thank you, through you, Chair. First, I want to thank the Chief Deputies and Director Rouleau for addressing a lengthy list of questions that I asked them via email following last week's Finance Committee meeting. There were 11 questions in that email, and all but 2 of them have been answered with this revised budget and report, so thank you for that. So the 2 questions that I have, the first one, well, is actually 2 questions disguised as one. For the addition of the tactical flight officers, through you, Chair, in Appendix 3.11, it indicates that the request is fully funded by a minimum 5-year Joint Air Support Unit Transfer Payment Agreement. What happens if or when we have to start paying? I'm curious, wouldn't it be more appropriate to second these individuals through the partnership with the OPP? Because if I'm not mistaken, once we add positions to our service, it's extremely difficult to remove them.
Chief?
Thank you, Chair. So I think I heard several questions there, and I'll try to answer them as best I can in the order they came. The first, I believe, was what happens in 5 years So the discussions that we have had with the province are that it's a 5-year program, but it's not viewed as ending at that time. Obviously there needs to be a time frame allocated. The reason that we thought this was the preferred option is that it allowed for exactly what you're referencing. The 2 options that we were contemplating were, one, that we actually oversee the program in its entirety with funding from the province. And what that would mean is that in 5 years, if there was no longer funding, then we would be responsible, as you say. But by going with this option, we have the benefit of being a part of a broader network. I have had helicopters under in my previous roles, and the maintenance and operation is very expensive. And helicopters have periods of downtime to accommodate that. So by being part of a broader pool, our operational posture is actually enhanced. So that was why, and in part, it allowed us to leave after 5 years if the value was not significant or demonstrable, given the significant expenses with running a program. So that was why we chose to be a part of the OPP-led initiative. After 5 years, if the decision was made to leave, we would need to, in theory, provide written correspondence to the province or to the commissioner of the OPP. With respect to the second part of your question, what would happen to the tactical flight officers? We had not contemplated that, but you are correct that under the Community Safety and Policing Act, if we wanted to reduce the establishment, we need to have the approval of the Inspectorate of Policing. I'm speculating, which is sometimes not, which is dangerous, but I would think that with the continued growth of the service or organization, in 5 years, if there was a decision to move away from the helicopters, that we would come to the board and we would ask for those positions to be either reallocated within the organization to be reassigned, perhaps. We hadn't contemplated that potential, given how long-term it is. And I really believe that with the changing nature of crime, that the aviation support will become more and more important.
Thank you.
I hope that answers your question.
That does. Thank you very much. The other question I have is just it's probably a minor question. It's in Appendix 3.14, there's a cost savings indicated. And is that just the cost savings from repurposing a sworn position to a civilian position? It's the paralegal.
I'm sorry, we reorganized all our appendixes so that they
That's why I had
aligned
to
with,
go back.
so maybe I'll just, because I don't have the report in front of me, I'll invite Director Rouleau to provide her insights.
I think I heard just a yes.
So through to the chair, you're talking about the paralegal. That
Yes.
has been, so we repurposed a constable position. So we did separate that for you. And so that repurposed position is the constable position.
And it's just repurposing a sworn to a civilian position?
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Yip. I will go next to Member Lawson.
Thank you, through you, Chair, to the Chief. So I'm supportive in general of the proposed budget changes. My question is because I know we're supposed to be nose and fingers out as a board. I'm questioning a couple of positions, and again, I know nose and fingers out, but the homicide unit, is that a delay because there's a reduction in the cost there? Was that due to a delay of hiring for the position? That's my first question.
Thank you for your question. We brought our senior executive committee together. We then brought our entire senior leadership team together, and then I had an opportunity to meet with President Krauscher and the NRPA. We went line by line through every program change that we had and where we thought we could stagger or delay, mindful of the significant impact we have at the region on our budget. We simply tried to stagger in a thoughtful, strategic way. So in homicide, as an example, we moved, I believe, one of the staff sergeants back to April, and then the detective constable to October. What that does is it allows us to introduce the change gradually, and we're very mindful that every specialized position that we create inevitably leads to a vacancy at some point on the front line. So we're trying to manage the growth, but also ensure that our front line is properly resourced to ensure an appropriate response to emerging community needs or pressures.
Thank you for that. So that basically answers my next two questions, but I'd like you to confirm through you, Chair, is the major case management specialists, there was 4 positions. It looks like there's 2, so maybe it's still 4, but it's delayed. And then the traffic unit, again, was a delay. I just want to confirm that they're delays and not reductions.
So the major case managers are the persons that are doing the data entry for Power Case. As you recall, we faced significant risk with respect to the backload, which triggers potential identification of connections between cases or agencies. So what we've done is we have not eliminated it. Where we thought we could eliminate, even where we did eliminate, I am very concerned about the one program change. But where we thought we could delay, we did. And that was, the major case managers was one of them.
Okay, thank you. And then my next question is the modified work program change. So it looks like the entire amount was taken out. As I am concerned about member wellness, I'm concerned about getting our officers back to work that can get back to work. So can you explain that one a little bit more, please?
I can. Thank you for your question, through you, Chair. That is the one that I referenced that we, not knowing that question was coming, that we took out, that I am worried about. You know, we have, as a service, significant issues with respect to our members and PTSD and sick time. And this unit was intended to provide two things. One, supervision of people that are coming back in modified duties, and then two, return to work specialists. And we think that it is progressive and it's innovative. But we also believe that when we go to the region and we're asked about comparators, there are none, because we're trying to lead the pack. So as we tried to manage that, knowing the financial pressures that we bring to the region with what is defendable, and, you know, if this ends up in a some sort of arbitration down the road, where are we well positioned to defend our position? And we thought that this is one where we were vulnerable because there are no comparators. We think it's a best practice. We think it's progressive, it's innovative, but there's nobody to compare it to. But we've got a unique collective agreement. We've got unique pressures, and we were trying to identify a path out of it, a pathway out that nobody else has. And we thought we would have a challenge and the board would have a challenge. So we were trying to be as responsible as we could, recognizing this is a very, like the member Steele and Chair Kiokio said, this is a very difficult year at the region, and we're trying to be responsive to everything we can and respectful of the pressures on the other side of the table as well. So this one, we talked a lot about, and ultimately we made that decision.
Thank you, through you, Chair. So Mike, a couple of final wrap-up comments, and perhaps one more question, following Member Yip, her lead. So I see 11.23% suggested budget increase, which we know 8.6% of it is, we just can't control those costs because of collective bargaining, other pressures on just standard items. So what I see is a 2.63% really request for program changes and additions from the budget, which is well below the region's 3.5%, I believe it was, that they were asking for. So I'm comfortable with the current budget, though I would prefer, and again, nose in, fingers out, I would prefer to see the modified work program change back in if we have that opportunity to put it back in, because I think it's important from a member wellness perspective, as well as doing our duty to the public to make sure that our officers are taken care of and back to work to the extent that they can, given some of the traumas that they see and the issues that they face on a day-to-day basis. So I'm supportive of the current budget, though I would prefer, and I'd be supportive of the rest of my colleagues if they suggest that we put that amount back in, if they're comfortable going to the region with that. That's all my comments. Thank you.
Chair, do you have any comments to that, or? No.
No, thank you, Chair.
Okay.
I've said my piece.
Any other members? Member Steele?
Thanks, Chair. Through you to Member Lawson. What is that amount? I was just looking for it here, and the amount if you put it back in.
Oh, sorry, the amount, if you put it back in, oh, I had it right in front of me. It's on page 9 of the report. It was on page,
Actually,
is it on page 9?
it is a 2.7.
Sorry, page 4.
0.27%, 0.27.
Yeah. So it would be my suggestion if we work 2.63 to go to 2.8 or 2.9%, which is still well below the 3.5% that we were asked to stay below.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to put it out as a motion, then I would support it, but
Thank you. Can I put that forward as a motion? Sorry, through you, Chair. Can I put that forward as a motion then?
Yeah, you may. So to add the modified work program, no, sorry. Yeah, the modified work program change back into the budget. We do need a seconder, second by Member Steele. Any discussions? Member Yip?
Thank you, through you, Chair. This was actually one of the questions that was asked via the email that I sent. The challenge is, I think we're going to put it back in, and then we're going to go to regional council, and they're going to just take it right back out. Because, again, to the chief's point, there are no comparators. I think it's important, but well, I think it's creative and interesting, your argument that it's only a 2.63% increase. It's not how regional council is going to look at it in terms of meeting that 3.5. So honestly, I think staff will do the work to put it back in, and then we'll go to regional council, and then staff will do the work to take it back out. So I won't be supporting the motion to put it back in. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Yip. Any other discussions? No? Okay, well, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? All right, that carries. Anything else? Any other discussions? Member Steele, you still have the floor.
thank you, Chair. After a good discussion last meeting and again with members across the board here, coming back to you, Chief, and senior staff with regards to what you've done, again, I want to congratulate you. A lot of thinking outside the box, a lot of gapping that's been done here with some of the hires that we're looking at, which we all believe that's important. I think going away with this budget is very prudent. As Councillor Lawson said, you know, there is around 8% that we have no control over at all. There's no cuts in that 8%. So looking at that with what we're changing, we're well within the limits of what the region has asked for. And I know what Councillor Yip said is that, you know, it'll come back and we'll have to take it out. No, we don't. The region council does not set our budget. This board sets the budget. If they don't like it and want to send it back, we can sit and discuss again. But if we don't want to make any further changes, that's up to us. And then the next step is taken, which is the prerogative of the regional council. So this is a budget I can support. You know, as a mayor and speaking with my fellow mayors and with probably the majority of councillors across the region, you know, safety and policing are at the top of a lot of people's lists. It's not the #1 issue, we know that, but it is at the top, and they want safe communities, they want safe neighborhoods, they want safe parks, recreation facilities, they want to be able to go into the downtown cores and quite frankly, feel safe. And I think, as you stated earlier in your report, Chief, what has happened just this week, these things aren't good right now. And we know that crime is changing at a faster pace than we can react at times. So I think this is a very prudent budget to make Niagara as safe as we can. It's a dollar amount that certainly I think the majority of people can live with. And I will certainly be supporting this. And again, I thank you, your senior staff, and all our police members for everything they've done for this budget and what they do on a daily basis. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Steele. Any other speakers? I'm seeing none. So I'm going to need a motion to increase from 11.23 to 11.5%. So I need a mover and seconder. Moved by Member Lawson, second by Member Steele, that we are now at 11.5%. So I see there was any discussions to that. Chief, did you have something to add?
Thank you, Chair. I was just leaning over my shoulder to ask Director Rulo to confirm the exact number. So I just wonder if we might want to allow her to just confirm the number so that what we have on paper is accurate. Thank you.
Yep, that's fine. So
So-
according to the report, it does state 0.27%, which is a minus of $582,069. Is that correct?
So through to the chair, yeah, so the new number would be 236,901,521, 11.51. Okay.
All right, thank you for that. Okay, I'll go back to the members. I see no members on the speaking list, so I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. All right. We'll go to 9.2, the revised 2026 capital budget and 9-year capital forecast. Moved by Member Lawson, second by Member Steele, that the board receive revised 2026 capital budget of $6,795,580 under option 2. Number 2, approve the revised 2026 capital budget and a 9-year forecast, appendices 1 to 5 that align with the option 2 request. And number 3, submit the revised 2026 capital budget of $6,795,580 under option 2 and the 9-year forecast to Regional Council for approval. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That carries. All right, we'll go number 9, 9.3, Councilor Information Request. Moved by Member Gibson, second by Member Yip, that the information request made by regional councilors at the September 4th, 2025 Budget Review Committee of the Whole meeting be referred to the Chief of Police for response as part of the Niagara Regional Police Service budget presentation to Regional Council. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that carries. 9.4, this is to the amended 2026 to 2029 strategic plan. Moved by Member Lawson, second by Member Steele, that the board receive and approve the amended 2026 to 2029 strategic plan for the Niagara Regional Police Service. Is there any discussion? Vice Chair Capsavanu, and then Member Lawson.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Thank you for looking at the strat plan again and making the changes, but I just have a few questions and a statement. Is there a reason why the E has been left out of the EDI? When you look at the strat plan, you've got diversity and inclusion on it, we've left out the equity piece. Is there a reason why we've left it out?
Chief?
I'm sorry. Thank you. Through you, Chair, maybe I'll invite, with your permission, Dr. Perez or Mr. O'Day to speak to the question.
Sure. If you can maybe come up to the podium, or,
It could be an error, but I would like to know.
Thank you. What I heard was clarity on, I thought, why the equity wasn't included.
Yeah, was it just an omission, or is there a reason why equity was not included in
You
the
mean
whole?
the
Yeah.
title in the priority?
what page is it?
No, the equity word out of the priority is there, it's diversity and inclusion only, and it's not diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I was just wondering if there's a reason
I see.
why we
Okay,
left.
now I understand your question.
It is under page 4, just for clarification.
Through you, Chair. Thank you for that question, Madam Chair. It's just a matter of being compliant with the regulations. So Section 37E of the Community Safety and Policing Act refers as the diversity plan. So the term is just for the pillar, It's just a terminology, but if you read across the different action plans, the term is included in some other.
Yeah, that's what I noticed, like even on the website, right? The E is there, so I was just wondering why it wasn't included.
Yeah, it was, in this case, Madam, it was just a matter of compliance with the terminology being used by the CSPA, Section 37E.
Okay, thank you for that. Through you, Chair, another question I have is, unfortunately, we haven't had access to the diversity and inclusion strategy, and I just have a question with regards to that document. Have you incorporated outcome-based performance measures, both qualitative and quantitative, within that strategy that align with the key EDI focus areas?
Thank you for that question, through you, Chair. Yes, so I'll just gonna read a couple examples. So for example, and we just continue including, right? Like we had that before, but I just gonna be very explicit on where we include those. So for diversity and inclusion, we have 3 specific action plans. So you have the documentation. Each action plan has a accountability structure, which includes objective key results and key performance objectives. But on top of that, the other action plans include different KPIs. So I'll just gonna read a couple examples. So for the community trust and engagement, we have different activities such as the design of inclusive road safety campaigns with youth, seniors, and newcomers. And I'm just gonna read another example. So if we have a couple examples into human trafficking, so providing materials in different languages. And those KPIs are included into the action plans, on top of the action plan being referred with particular key performance objectives and objective key results.
Thank you for that, because I think it is crucial that we move from being statement-based, right, to action-based, and ensuring that each action connects to the strategic goal and to specific operational strategies. My last question is, when you look at the, just hold on for me a minute, please, through you, Chair. The community-informed identity and data accountability piece that you've got under ADI as an outcome there. Since it involves co-designing with communities, have measures been put in place that ensure that not one person or one organization is the voice for everyone? I'm hoping that under this strategy, a community advisory group or Indigenous partners, the Social Justice Research Institute of Brock, as other people, organizations and equity councils are given an opportunity to come together at the NRPS table to determine what demographic data to collect and how it should be used, because you want to ensure that it is ethical and culturally safe data collection, because it's important that this data that is collected is through collective voices, since the data findings should ultimately in turn inform training, recruitment, and operational decisions. So.
Thank you for that question, and through you, Chair. Yes, so for that specific process, if you look at the activities, the first activity involves community consultation and a definition of those groups that will inform the whole process, not just the consultation, but the strategy moving forward, the implementation in terms of training, operationals, and how that translates into the design of those indicators. And those indicators, for those who are not aware of, include the qualitative and the quantitative as recommended by Stats Canada under the UCR 2.5 strategy.
Awesome, thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Vice Chair Capsavanu. Any other members? Member Lawson?
Thank you, through you, Chair. A couple of questions. I was going to ask the same question about the word equity in the title. I would personally prefer to see the word equity back in to our document, even though I do understand, I'm looking at the CSPA as we speak, and I do understand that it's in there. I think the word equity is important just because of it stays consistent with what the public understands as EDI rather than just DI. I've read through the report, and one of the articles that stuck out to me from February of 2025 was how Niagara was at the bottom of the hiring of women in policing, as an example. And I understand that we're not just talking about our hiring practices or promotions from within, and we're talking at the broader equity, diversity, and inclusion of our actual policing. However, with Niagara being at the bottom of that list, I would have thought that one of the initiatives I would have seen in our EDI strategy would have been the 30 Forward initiative as an example that we heard at the evidence-based policing conference, and that we could have signed. That's an easy, I don't want to say an easy win, but that would be something that we could show a commitment to our, not only our members, but our public at large. Because if you read, if we go back to the CSPA Declaration of Principles, number 1, section 5, paragraph 5 says the need for sensitivity to the pluralistic, multiracial, and multicultural character of Ontario society. And number 7 is the need to ensure that police services and police service boards are representative of the communities that they serve. And I think that is, if we're the bottom of 15, that would be a concern that I would have bringing forward EDI initiatives. I guess my question is there any comment to why that was excluded?
Chief?
Thank you for your question. Maybe Hector, I'll take this if you don't mind, or I'll start and then you can top it up, if that's okay. I can say that the 30 Forward initiative, the information package is on my desk. I have received it. I have spoken with the inspector in Barrie that is the leader of that initiative. What I've tried to do is initiate a discussion in our service I reached out to Sergeant Ryan and Inspector Rose on that very initiative because it talks about sworn police officers. And what I wanted clarity on is that it's not undervaluing the significant role that civilian members play. As we referenced last meeting, we have 2 directors now at our table that are both, not because they're women, but they are women. And that my concern or my observation is that 30 Forward focused solely on the sworn part of the organization, and that, in fact, we are more than that. So I wanted some clarity around the thinking on that, and whether or not, I'm not suggesting it's siloed, but it's not a complete picture, and I just wanted to understand the rationale behind that. But it is on my desk. And the other thing I would say is through my discussions with our team here, we've talked about the value of recognizing that the strategic plan will be a living document. Although it's created based on the pressures that we know today, we don't know what's coming in a year or 2 years. You think about how much the world changed in the last year with the election in the United States and the impact that has had on all of us. We are trying to be open-minded. We will be open-minded, and that example that you've just referenced is one that's on my desk and we are discussing. Maybe I'll pause there and turn it over to the doctor.
Thank you. Just to tap on that, I think, and this is just a professional advice, I think before committing to something like that, and I've been having discussions with other services, the senior leadership should do an exploration of the operational impacts, because what I struggle a lot with the way it's presented, it's only for frontline, but it tends to neglect the fact that police can succeed in other roles, such as managers, supervisors, directors. And sometimes when the lens is only on frontline, you can lose track of the real purpose.
Hector, can you just put a little closer, because I'm having difficulty hearing.
One of the methodological flaws that I've been is having conversations with different people. It's about the foundational theory of that strategies under the critical mass theory, which it was for equity and diverse groups in the community, not only for women. So to start with, there's different considerations that before committing to some type of strategy like that, I think it should be a profound analysis of what the operational impacts and budget will be for committing to something like that.
Thank you, through you, Chair. So back to my original point from the CSPA, which is the need for sensitivity to pluralistic, multiracial, and multicultural character of Ontario society, and that we're representative of the communities that we serve. And so I understand that we have, we probably potentially have more than 30% of our other members. I think the fact that it's the sworn officers and it's the front line is, again, because we do have significant numbers of frontline officers, and that's where our, we keep hearing from our constituents that they want to see a police force that is actually representative. So the police force that they see would be the frontline officers. And I understand, my understanding from talking with I can't think of her name right now, and I feel really bad, from Barrie. She had mentioned that it's not just it's not just women. They are actually looking at the broader, it does say 30 forward, from the perspective of 30-30, which is in the States, but it's not just looking at women, it's actually looking at underrepresented populations. So for me, that would have been an easy win that we could have talked about, that, because there are other suggestions in here of, you know, what we would be looking at. And to me, the 30 forward initiative would have been something that we could have included, saying that we are looking at that right now as being something about the sworn, for sworn officers, because I think that we're underrepresented in a lot of areas, and it's something that we can look at. Further question through you, Chair, is on page 55 of the report, which it's, I think it says page 4 on the bottom of, which one? It's very long. The Diversity and Inclusion Strategy Action Plan, Diversity and Inclusion. On page, from page 55 forward, it talks about an organizational EDI audit, and that publish the findings in 2028. Is it really going to take that long for us to figure out if we have an EDI strategy problem, or having an audit that takes us 2 or 3 years to actually publish the findings, and then in 2029 actually do anything about it? That's I have 2 questions there, I guess.
Chief, or, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. If, with your permission, I'll invite Dr. Perez.
Thank you, Chair. Just quickly, because the whole plan is a very comprehensive strategy. The audit is not only on the current scenario of a specific activity, but the whole portfolio of activities. So thinking that the plan will be approved to start rolling out in 26, so then we need to establish the baselines. And to provide a comprehensive approach for the audit, we were evaluating whether or not doing in 27, so mid-term, or 28, something more comprehensive. But certainly we can take a recommendation to push it a little bit earlier.
Thank you. And my last comment would just be that, because on page 60, we talk about achieve compliance with the projected national standards for identity data collection, ensure 80%, greater than 80% of the community partners report satisfaction, but it's not till 2029. I understand that this is a longer-term strategic plan. However, the fact that it's at the end of the strategic plan was my concern, that of some of these performance targets. So I appreciate that there's performance targets, but I was hopeful that we would have seen them a little sooner. I don't know if that's really a question or not. I guess it is a question. Can we see it sooner?
Thank you, Chair. I can speak to that. So because that specific indicator is to the UCR 2.5 strategy, so our approach is solid in terms of first having, the first step, if you look at the strategy, is having those community consultations, developing with the community those qualitative and quantitative indicators. And because right now it's not mandatory for the services to adopt the UCR 2.5 strategy, it's up to the service to implement, develop, and co-design with the community partners that strategy. We believe that the best practice will be to have a period for definition in 2026, once the plan is approved, and then moving forward to co-develop the data collection strategy, and then have an evaluation through 27 and provide some results towards the end. Of course, getting to that point where we can come back and present the results, it's going to take a lot of effort, because it's not only co-designing the strategy with the community partners, but it involves training, modifying operations, how we collect data internally. It's a whole new strategy with records, involves a substantial amount of organizational change. It will change our IT configuration on how we collect those data fields specifically. So it's a long-term strategy, and it really is a organizational endeavor that will take a lot of effort to get to a point where we can come back and present substantial findings in terms of that. And if I'm not mistaken, my assumption is that by 2029, probably Stats Canada will make this approach mandatory for all services across Canada. So we're kind of moving ahead of the game to be forward-thinking in terms of what's coming up and how we can incorporate those best practices for identity-based race data into our service, into our practices. But again, being also cautious that between now and 29, a lot of things can change with Stats Canada and their definitions on how we're going to collect data before it becomes mandatory in 2029. So all of this to say is we're taking a very thoughtful approach on how we implement this in a way that is safe for the service, but also that represents the diverse voices in our communities, and also in a way that we get it right, because it's a lot of organizational effort, as you can imagine. Thank you.
Thank you. No more questions.
Thank you, Member Lawson. I have Vice Chair Capsavanu.
Thank you, through you, Chair. This is actually just a comment, not with the strategy that's done. I just wanted to speak to this 30-30 thing, and I think I appreciate that you've got it on your desk and it's kind of just sitting there, because I think it needs a lot more introspection, because it's not as, depending on where you're standing, it is not as amazing. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to be the one to say that, because when we're looking at 30-30 and we're just talking about women in general, unfortunately, historically, we know that women does not include, most of the times, racialized women and women from the LGBT, whatever. So when I didn't see, and from the people I was speaking to when we were at the conference, there were no measures and there was no specific ways of saying, how many racialized women, how many Indigenous women, how many, it is just women that we are looking to see. And so we still have people that are going to fall through the cracks. So I think we need a lot more discussion around this 30-30 pitch before it's even implemented, because it does not cover everybody.
Thank you for that, Member Capsavanu. Sorry, Vice Chair. Any other discussion? So then I'll call the question. All those in favor? That carries. Thank you. Next, we'll go to 9.5. This is Inspector General Advisory Bulletin 2.1, the Board and Committee Meetings and Governance Requirements. Moved by Member Gibson, second by Member Yip, that the information be received, and further that the Board approve the revised procedural bylaw 537-2025 as appended to the report. Any discussion? Member Yip?
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I feel like a bit of a broken record on this point, but can we take this opportunity to update any use of gendered pronouns to non-gendered pronouns? So changing any instances of he or she, of which there are 7 or so, to they, and any instances of his or her, of which there are 14 or so, to their.
Yeah, thank you, Member Yip. We'll take that as direction.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so then I see no other speakers. I'll call the question. All those in favor? That carries. Okay, items 9.6, 9.7. This is a special fund request. Before we consider the special fund requests listed under items 9.6, 9.7, I would like to remind members of the public that the special fund does not form part of the police operating budget and is separate from the regional tax base. The special fund is a discretionary pool of funds which is used for grants and charitable donations. Disbursements from the funds are made in accordance with guidelines provided in the Community Safety and Policing Act and with the Board Bylaw 403-2024 Special Fund Administration Limitation and Guidelines. So we'll go 9.6, which is the special funds. The first one is Gillian's Place, Walking on Her Shoes, and the Men's March to End Violence Against Women, $1,000. So moved by Vice Chair Capsavanu, seconded by Member Lawson. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that carries. 9.7, these are also special fund requests. I'll just quickly name them off. Number one is Jillian's Place Wrapped and Courage Pancake Breakfast, $1,000. ABLE 33rd Annual Scholarship and Award Gala is $1,500. The gala, or Niagara Vanguard Roll-a-thon is $2,000. Out of the Cold program is $2,000, and serving the Pride Gala and Awards Night is $1,600. So it's moved by member Still, second by member Gibson, that the board authorizes special fund donations as outlined in the report and approve payment in the requested amounts. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That carries. Though number 10, other new business. Do any board members have any other new business? No? I'm seeing none. Chief, do you?
No, thank you, Chair.
All right. So number 11 is, 11.1 is special investigation units. Case number 24OC1-457, incident of October 25th, 2024, moved by member Yips, second by Vice Chair Capizavanu. Any discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? And that carries. Number 12 is for closed session. Moved by member Lawson, second by member Steele, that the board move into closed session for consideration of confidential matters pursuant to the section 44 of the Community Safety and Policing Act, namely for subject matter related to potential litigation, human resources matters, information supplied in confidence by the Ministry of the Solicitor General and from vendors for contract awards, as well as legal matters that are subject to solicitor-client privilege. All those in favor? That carries. This meeting's now adjourned. Thank you. We'll take 5 minutes before we go to the next.